Sometimes in life it can get so very hard. Sometimes you just don't know what to do, so you fall apart. So what are you gonna do with all the world that's coming down on you? What are you gonna do when everything is coming down? Sometimes you just need to calm down while the storms arise. What are you gonna do when everything's a surprise? There's a pain and there's a sorrow, but there's a rainbow at the end. Don't you know that there is hope over dope? It's coming around. So what are you gonna do? Are you just looking around? Don't you know that there is something just for you and me? Don't you know that there is something? Don't you even know? Don't you even find it hard to believe that there is something more? That's what you really gotta think about, because it's like you live in between what you believe and how you feel, and too often you may let your emotions guide your life, and you don't have to do that. There is a way out, and there is a hope over dope. There's this path towards a rainbow that will take you out, but it can be very painful. But you gotta know that your emotions are always there. How you feel will always be there, telling you that you're stuck in what you do, your habits and your addictions and your lifestyle, and the daily choices that you make. Believe it or not, there are these ways out, and it's not very easy to explain, but you probably heard some people talk about it, and you probably know how to do it a little bit. And it's important to understand the foundation to how that works. That's a little bit what Original Oatmeal is all about. It's about that foundation. It's about trying to figure out who you are, where are you from, and where are you going, where do you want to go. If you can get to the bottom of it, to the foundation of who you really are and who you were, you can get to the bottom of it to determine where you're headed, for better and for worse. For better and for worse. It sort of sounds like they're getting married to not another person, but to life. And if you fail, then that's okay. And if you plan to fail, that's terrible. But you know, if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. And life is always a roller coaster. And you can let life guide you that way, for better and for worse. You can let the circumstances guide you, for better and for worse. Your moods and your feelings and your emotions can be your pilot. And generally speaking, that happens for the most of us, for the best of us. It's happening all the time. especially because we're not really thinking about it. We forget about it. It's really hard to remember about how it's happening because our emotions are so strong, and we have to remind each other about it. We gotta get to the bottom of it. There are a few different ways to do it, and it's fundamental, and it will change your life if you're able to understand that the world is very dark. It's very dark, but there's hope. There's light. But you have to understand that you're surrounded by a lot of evil and a lot of darkness. And if you don't admit to the problem, then you're gonna be a slave, and you're gonna continue to be a slave to those problems and to all those different things that are happening in the world, that has been happening for thousands of years all around the world. And it's very deep and it's very dark, and you got to admit to yourself that you're not perfect and you're not good in and of yourself. You have to get out of it, but you got to get some help. And you always got to understand the fundamentals to that. The perspective has to be eternal. Really, 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 really eternal. How you look at everything. And when you do that, you're able to understand a lot more. But one of the most important things that you should remember is that you have a pilot to your life all the time. Somebody's driving your car all the time, but most of the time you're not really thinking about it. So your driver is taking you to places you don't want to go. The driver is your emotions, and you don't really have to call it your emotions, because sometimes you don't even know it's your emotions, but it's still there, and it's driving you instead of what you believe. Your soul, your heart should be there. Your gut. The part that's you, whatever you want to call it, whether it's a soul or a spirit or a heart, that's you. Your consciousness that's deep inside of you, inside your brain, inside your body, inside your essence, inside your mojo, your Austin Power mojo. You're there, and you should be able to make your own decisions on what you want to do in your life, for better and for worse, for good and for bad. Consequences and rewards are there. But your emotions and your feelings are always stealing and robbing that. Your joy, your adventure in your life, to make the decisions on what you believe in daily choices that you want to make in your life. You get caught up. You get dragged down a lot of times. Too often you get dragged down because of these emotions that are always like there, and they're disguised most of the time. You don't even notice, you don't really realize that you're reacting to your emotions a little bit too much, a little bit too often, and it's kind of subconscious. It's mostly subconscious, mostly subliminal, mostly theoretical, hypothetical in some ways. So much that you kind of forget that it's even there because it's always there, how you feel and everything. So you kind of react instead of proact. And with all that said, it's very easy to forget. It's easy to assume and dismiss what that is all about, what that really is. Because you kind of know this already. You kind of know all this stuff about your feelings and your emotions there. You know it's there. And it's really hard to say anything about it. It's really hard to understand if you don't really take a more proactive approach and perspective to overcoming it. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to feel your emotions, but you don't have to be a victim. That's what Candace Owens likes to say. And it's true, you don't have to be a victim. Even though a lot of people want you to be a victim, you don't have to be a victim, and you can get out, you can rise over it. And there's a lot of different ways, many different ways to get over it. It's not very simple, perhaps, but it takes one step at a time. And the first step is to understand that it's a big problem, and so you need to write it down. You'd put it on your wall, put it on your computer, put it on your phone. You gotta remind yourself that there are big problems, not just in the world, but also in yourself, in a variety of ways. In so many different ways, in more ways than you know. And you gotta tell yourself that you know that you don't know a lot of things. And you gotta tell yourself that every single day. When you wake up in the morning, you gotta say to yourself, I don't know. I don't know how dark the world is, how evil I am, how evil other people are. Instead, what we do is we kind of want to believe that there is a perfect world out there, and that only some people are really, really bad, but not you, or not some people, or not some things, but it's a lot darker. The reason why I used to do that is because that's kind of how things are. That's absolutely how things are. And I mean, that's really how things are. And if you're not willing to confess and admit to that, then you will continue to live in a delusional world that your emotions will get the best of. Your emotions are able to trick you into seeing things that are not really there. Thinking and feeling and even believing in things that you wouldn't really believe in the first place, which changes your will, changes so many things or everything about you in so many ways. And that is the compromising spirit of it all. It's so compromising and it's so terrifying. It's terrible, it's scary, it's compromising. And that's the thing that you gotta remember and you gotta remind yourself about. And that's what oatmeal is all about. Original Oatmeal, that's my name, Original Oatmeal. Oatmeal, Joey Arnold. Today is 2019. March 24, Sunday, 6:31. And that's my face. But this is my mouth. Your mouth is very powerful. Your voice is very powerful, very fundamental, very foundational. The voice and the sound of people is so powerful. It creates heavens and earths. There's so much, like vibrations and sounds can do so much. Like, it's a little bit scary. There's so much power out there, for better and for worse, and it's important to get to the bottom of it before it gets to the bottom of you. I got a pocket of sunshine, and I know that is all mine. Oh, that's a pretty good song. You got to get to the bottom of it. You have to get to the bottom of the Tootsie Roll, of the rainbow, to find your pot of gold, because you're already there. There is so much there, and it's so much to think about if you haven't already thought about it. Some of the best ideas come to you in the middle of the night, and you gotta have a notebook next to your bed, and you gotta write it down. You gotta have a recorder. You gotta put it on your wall, and you gotta remind yourself of what you believe, what you want to do, your priorities, your short-term and long-term goals. They need to be there. You need to remind yourself of them, and you gotta remind yourself of who you really are, or what you really believe in, what kind of person you want to be. You gotta remind yourself, because if you don't, then your bad days will, the worst parts of your life will get you down, and those will be the memories that comes up again and again. You gotta make the memories count. You gotta tell yourself, this is who I am, this is what I'm going after. If you don't, then your emotions will always is always there, and is always gonna pull you down. Don't get under the weather. Don't be under the weather. What are you doing under there? Go over it. Rise to the top. You gotta rise to the top. Ain't nothing better. Ain't nothing better.